Hello viewers, welcome back to another episode of The Interviewer. I'm the interviewer, Kyra. Today, we are talking with Dan Brown and some of the characters from his book, Digital Fortress.
Hello, Kyra. Thanks for having me on this show.
So Dan, tell us about this book.
Well, there are three main characters, Susan Fletcher, David Becker, and Trevor Strathmore. Susan and Strathmore work for the NSA, which is the National Security Agency, where they intercept phone and computer messages and read them. Plus, they break codes, passwords, and encryptions.
Really? That sounds interesting. So, what is the main conflict?
Well, there is this machine that the NSA has, called Translator, which breaks passwords in just seconds, but the rest of the world doesn't know about it. This ex-NSA worker decides that he does not like having the world not know about Translator, so he sends a virus to Translator and says that he will give them the password to stop it if they tell the world about Translator. The only problem is that the guy dies and gives the password to a random person in Spain. Now the main characters must either figure out the code or find the password before it's too late.
That sounds really intense. Where did you get the inspiration for this book?
I actually used to be a high school English teacher before I was a writer at my old school. And one day, two government agents came to this school and were looking for a student who sent a message to another student saying that he was going to kill President Clinton. This was the first time I had learned that the government could read our messages, and so of course I had to find out more. Once I did, I discovered it was going to be a good book.
Wow, I guess it's kind of lucky that that event happened at your school, because without it, this book wouldn't exist. Well, thanks for letting me talk to you.
Thank you.
Now, we are going to talk to the lovely Susan Fletcher.
Hello.
So, tell us what you think about your author, Dan Brown.
Well, he is an interesting guy for sure. I am part of a fiction book, but most of the facts in there are real. He spends a long time researching before he even writes about us. For example, the NSA is a real agency and they actually do read our messages.
That's a little creepy.
I know, right? But it's a good thing Dan found out, or else I would not be part of this awesome, suspense-filled, action-packed book.
So, what can you tell me about what you thought of the book?
Well, I like my part because I am a brilliant cryptographer, which is somebody who breaks codes, and I help figure out the problems in the book. But the readers can also help figure them out because Dan uses foreshadowing with his clues to help give hints for the readers to help figure out. For example, in the prologue, right away on page 1, he has a character who is dying, and in his head he's thinking, "Look at my hand." The faces around him stared, but he could tell they did not understand. He kept on holding up his hand because his hand only had 3 fingers on it, and this was actually the answer to the code at the end of the story. So Dan used the answer right away at the beginning.
So, the literally element foreshadowing was used in the book. Was there anything else?
Dan also uses flashbacks to either show something that happened at the same time or to help give background information about us. I have a flashback on page 26 about the first day that I started working for the NSA.
That must have been a special day because you were the one and only girl cryptographer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we'll talk to the person who hired Susan in the first place, Trevor Strathmore.
Hi.
I'm going to get right down to business. What did you think about yourself at the end of this book?
Well, Dan did a nice job with the twist. True, I did not want to die at the end, but it did make the book more interesting.
Why do you think Dan had you die?
Dan uses deaths to capture people's attention and to get them curious. That is why all of his novels begin with assassinations.
Is that so? I guess when I think about it, it's true. Is there any other connections that this book will have with his later books? Because this actually is his first novel, right?
This is his first novel, and this book really didn't become popular until his 4th novel, The Da Vinci Code, came out. But this book has, which is also shared with his later books, is brevity. This means that they're short and basically straight to the point. This, along with him wanting to end all of his chapters in cliffhangers, is why some of the chapters are 1 or 2 pages or so. Like chapter 98, for example, is 2 pages, and it ends with an assassin chasing after David to kill him on my orders.
Oh dear, I could see how that could make people want to continue reading. If you like suspenseful fiction novels, then this book is a great book. It's called Digital Fortress by Dan Brown. Thank you for watching, and join me next time when I interview Mr. Corelli's son, Anthony Corelli, from our hometown of Poynette, about his poetry book, Cognations. Where should I be looking?
At the camera.
Hello viewers, welcome back to another episode of The Interviewer. I'm the interviewer.
Words in seconds. Shoot!
Now we'll talk to the person who hired Susan in the first place.
Truther.
Strathmore. Now we'll talk to the person who hired Susan in the first place.
Truther. What's with you and Truther?
It's so hard.
True, I did not like the fact that I died, but it made the book become interesting.
Why do you think Dan had you die? What did you think of yourself?